Hi, this is Dr. Pete, and I'd like to go over some temperature conversions. Temperature conversions. So the ones we're going to go over today are going to be Celsius and Fahrenheit. You see these all the time, and you probably know that the Fahrenheit is a larger number than Celsius. Um, you may not know or remember how to convert them, but it's a common question. You probably see it on a test pretty often, so we're going to go over it to make sure you understand it. Um, Often you would use the Celsius and the Fahrenheit for various data points, like for example, if you know boiling point of water. This is common in beginning chemistry or any kind of science courses. You need to know boiling point of water, and you need to know the difference between Fahrenheit and Celsius. So the boiling point of water, if you're talking about Fahrenheit, it would be 212 Fahrenheit. And then if you're talking about Celsius, you're talking 100 Celsius. That's it. It also depends because sometimes, the boiling point of water, depending on the elevation, changes. Um, but uh, but for all practical purposes, you need to remember 100 degrees Celsius and 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, of course, there's the freezing point, which is also important to know. The freezing point. And the freezing point of water is, and remember, the Fahrenheit is always higher than the Celsius. So we're talking about 32 Fahrenheit or um, 0 degrees Celsius. And then one of the most important that you'll always need to know would be the normal body temperature. So this is when, people will ask, customers will ask you what if the child has a fever, what should be the normal temperature. Um, it also varies depending on where you take the temperature, underarm or rectal or by mouth. Temperature is a little bit different, but you need to know this number, 98.6, 98.6, and that is in Fahrenheit. The smaller number would be Celsius, and that would be 37 degrees Celsius, would be the body temperature. Okay, it was also important with the COVID, um, virus. People would, before they can enter a building, they would take the temperature, and need to know what's the normal temperature, and that's 98.6 Fahrenheit. Okay, so now we're going to go over the some examples of converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius, from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So, okay, so let's just go over a few problems. So 37 degrees Celsius, how do you change it to Fahrenheit? Well, a couple things you need to remember. First of all, if you want to change from Celsius to Fahrenheit, then if it's Celsius to Fahrenheit, then that would be equal Celsius equals Fahrenheit minus 32 over 1.8. And you just remember that Celsius is lower than Fahrenheit, so you're subtracting. And then in this case, you want to find Fahrenheit. So the Fahrenheit is the larger number, so that would be 1.8 times Celsius, and that would be plus 32. So you're multiplying by this, you're getting a larger number for doing that, and then you're adding another 32. So Fahrenheit is this, and um, because 1.8 equals 9 over 5, you can also say that Fahrenheit is 9 over 5 times Celsius plus 32, because 1.8 is 9 over 5, so you can just substitute 9 over 5 for this one. And it's times Celsius plus 32. You could also say Celsius equals 5 over 9, and Fahrenheit minus 32. Okay, so I think we're going to just mostly stick to the just 1.8 because it's just easier to do that than to multiply or divide by fraction. Okay, so we'll do these. So anyway, so 37 degrees Celsius equals what degree Fahrenheit? Um, so Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times Celsius plus 32. So that means that Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times Celsius, which is 37, and you say plus 32. And that would be equal to 98.6. 98.6. Okay, and then we do number 2. So 93 Fahrenheit equals what Celsius? So we want Celsius, so we know that Celsius equals Fahrenheit, which is 93, minus 32 divided by 1.8, and that equals 33.9. So it's 33.9 Celsius. Okay, so 33.9. All right, now we're going to do number 3. So 62 Fahrenheit equals 16 equals what Celsius? Okay, so we know that Celsius equals F minus 32 over 1.8. So we do 62 minus 32 divided by 1.8. And that will be 16.7. Okay, so that's 3. Okay, number 4, 104 Fahrenheit equals what? Let me see, 104 is what Celsius? Okay, so we know that okay, so we want Celsius. So we know Celsius equals F minus 32 over 1.8, and so that's 104 minus 32 divided by 1.8, and that equals 40. Okay, and then let's do another one. 5. So 42.7 Celsius equals equals 108.9 Fahrenheit. 108.9 Fahrenheit. Okay, so we know that Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times, uh, you know what? I gave the answer away. But anyway, let's do this anyway. So 1.8 times Celsius, and that would be plus 32. So that equals 1.8 times 42.7, and then plus 32. And okay, and that's surprise, that's 108.9. 108.9. 108.9. Okay, so then 6 is 188 Fahrenheit equals what Celsius? Okay, so we know that Celsius equals F minus 32 over 1.8. That equals 188 minus 32 over 1.8. Um, and that equals 86.7. Oops, 86.7. And then the 7, 100 Celsius equals what Fahrenheit? Well, we know that Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times C plus 32. And you can remember that easy because Fahrenheit is a higher number than Celsius. Celsius you're subtracting. Fahrenheit you're multiplying and adding. So you're going to get a larger number. So that equals 1.8 times 100, and then there's plus 32. Okay, so that would equal 212 F, 212. Okay, okay, so 1.8, let me, okay, so now let's go to the next one, 8. Okay, so if we have 87 Celsius, and that equals what? Fahrenheit. Okay, so we know again that Fahrenheit is a higher number, so Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times Celsius plus 32. So that equals, let's see, 1.8 times Celsius, which is 87, plus 32, and that equals 188.6. All right, and then 109 Fahrenheit equals what Celsius? Okay, and we know that Celsius is the smaller number, right, compared to Fahrenheit. So that's at Fahrenheit minus 32, and that's divided by 1.8. So that would be 109 minus 32 divided by 1.8. And that equals 42.8. So 42.8. And then the last one here would be 10, and that's 22 Celsius equals Fahrenheit. And we know that Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times Celsius plus 32, which equals 1.8 times 22 plus 32, and that would equal 71.6, 71.6. So that's 71.6. Okay, so that should do it for this module. Okay, thank you.